This is the program that shows you the side of police chase videos they didn't want you to see.
He picked up speed, look at that!
Bungled arrests, kamikaze crooks, and cop-based carnage of all kinds. Welcome to Cops Uncut 2, the real car crash TV.
On my way!
Today on Cops Uncut, we take a tumble on the freeway, pick a friendly fight with the locals, and move the strip joints out into the streets. A police officer needs all his cunning and ingenuity to snare a suspect. These Idaho cops are carefully laying their spike strips across the road to stop the suspect heading towards them by blowing out his tires. The stingers cover the whole width of the tarmac, so there's no way the approaching crook can avoid them. With the trap set, the cops retreat to a safe distance. Unfortunately, no amount of cunning and ingenuity will ever predict something like this. The suspect's escape is brought to a stop all right, but it's not the cop's spike strip that does the trick, it's his car. Now let's take a closer look at the trooper in this footage again. When he notices the van, you can clearly see him hedging his bets as to which direction he should leap. Luckily, he makes the right choice, otherwise his mates could have been picking up bits of him along with spike strips, pieces of car, and various other debris that now litters the highway.
Taking off again.
What do you do with a teenage suspect who's very big, very angry, and more than a little punch drunk? Knoxville, Tennessee, and the cops have been called out to the scene of a local disturbance. Two large teenage boys have been detained for questioning. But while one of the youths is led away, his pal doesn't seem to fancy sticking around, and the situation quickly dissolves into a boxing match. With a mean left hook to his chin, it's KO for this officer and round one to the Tennessee teen. And with the other cop taking quite a pasting, it looks like he might be out for the count too. The police, meanwhile, are treating it more like tag team wrestling. Even with 3 against 1, the officers are still struggling to keep the champ down. But there's one quick and easy way for the boys in blue to take the upper hand. And that's to give their opponent a short, sharp shock with the taser. In a real boxing match, zapping someone with 200,000 volts would be grounds for automatic disqualification. But the cops don't have to abide by the Queensberry rules. They are the rules. During all the excitement, a small crowd of 1 has gathered in the ringside seats. Sadly, he's joined the spectacle far too late. Our heavyweight is already out for the count, and the cops have extended their unfair advantage by introducing yet more weaponry. But this time, it's not a taser, it's a loaded handgun. So any more trouble from Raging Bull here, and it's good night, Tennessee. A reckless road hog has been terrorizing traffic on the Texas highways at frighteningly high speeds. So the fearless trooper in pursuit decides to confront the troublemaker and deliver the letter of the law. Just who is the speed demon behind the wheel? A ruthless Texan bandit? A boy racer with a death wish? It's a 72-year-old cottonhead. But the dotty dame has left her car in gear and her seatbelt on. As she's dragged down the road, it becomes painfully clear that she's more a danger to herself than anyone else. The lady sounds a bit upset. And if we take another look at the accident, we can see why. In his efforts to stop the runaway vehicle, the trooper seems to trample on the poor woman, who ends up going underneath the car's back wheel. By some kind of miracle, the woman gets away with only minor cuts and bruises. She even refuses medical treatment. In fact, the harrowing event brings this unlikely pair closer together, and they remain friends to this day. Which is kind of ironic when you think about it, because if the cop hadn't pulled her over in the first place, then none of this would ever have happened. All of which makes the cop indirectly responsible for bringing a whole new meaning to the term granny flat. Still to come, we get a lesson in foreign relations. We get jiggy in the dark and soaked on a day out.
Taking off again.
What do you do if you're a cop and you come across a stark naked man who's just tried to cut his own ear off with a knife while standing on top of an articulated lorry? You try to catch him with a net, of course. In the highly likely event that this approach fails, you could try a more logical solution, like a ladder. Unfortunately, it's just possible that someone who strolls around on top of a heavy goods vehicle in the nude attempting to lop off his own body parts might not be the most logical of people to deal with. So by all means, try to negotiate. Just don't be too surprised if your suspect takes the opportunity to pull another random act of craziness. Like getting acrobatic with the street furniture. Now, here's something you really don't see every day. A bloke with no clothes on climbing around on a road sign. The cops move the ladder into position, but their naked suspect isn't interested. He seems much happier sitting on his perch, looking for all the world like an enormous plucked chicken. So what now? Well, you could start by getting the lorry he seems to be so fond of safely out of temptation's way. And then just let time take its course. Because even a major loon like this bloke will soon realize that in his position, the smallest of slip-ups could be very painful indeed. There's only one way to go, and that's down. The suspect might not be wearing anything, but the attending officers all seem to have donned their gloves, which might be a clue as to their next move. Yes, now that the troublemaker is within easy reach, it's time to get hands-on. The cops drag the guy to the ground and bundle on top of him enthusiastically, perhaps to keep him warm. With all those heavy law enforcers on his back, it's clear the guy isn't going to be doing any more climbing today, naked or otherwise. The medics arrive to treat his self-inflicted ear wound, strapping the latter-day Van Gogh onto a stretcher so he can't do himself any more damage. Now it's time to get him some clothes, a nice white jacket perhaps, and take him somewhere where there are no sharp objects, no freight vehicles, and no one to climb all over him. Police Academy, Lesson 54, Staying Alert. The flashing lights on a squad car are supposed to act as a warning. They're meant to say, keep out of my way, I'm a policeman and I'm on important police business. But they also seem to act as beacons for mischief, attracting troublemakers like moths to a flame. You could be reaching for a tasty donut 1 minute and find yourself fat as a pancake the next. Almost. In fact, this particular officer got off pretty lightly, walking away with little more than a minor case of gravel rash. So once all you young Cops Uncut cadets find yourself out on the road and feeling a bit peckish, try to keep at least one eye open for trouble. If you want to avoid being squashed like a grape, tossed into the middle of the highway like a rag doll, or flattened under the wheels of a passing juggernaut like this, then for heaven's sake, stay alert. So what have we learned? Well, for starters, you might want to cut back on those mid-morning snacks. But what's really clear is that, as a cop, you really need to stay alert at all times, because while most people would go out of their way to avoid upsetting a policeman, there's always a flip side to everything. Class dismissed. When a delegation of foreign dignitaries arrives in your country, the situation needs to be handled with the utmost care and diplomacy by the resident police force. Take this lorry load of Mexican gentlemen, for example, fresh from the border and eager to experience the wonder that is North America. First, let's get the formalities out of the way. You'll need to make sure you establish whether your guests have all the correct paperwork for their stay before they disperse and continue on their journey through your native soil. They'll probably be a great deal harder to catch once they've disappeared into the undergrowth. Remember, as a policeman, you're a representative of your country, so you should always make sure that visitors are welcome to the land of the free in the traditional manner. Even if you can only make an impression on one or two of your honoured guests, at least they'll be able to tell their fellow countrymen what they missed out on. Because the proud nation that you live in was built by immigrants. Let's just run through that again to make sure we've got it straight. In the event of an alien visitation, the situation needs to be handled as delicately as possible. So always treat your guests to some good old-fashioned hospitality, Uncle Sam style.
Taking off again.
Sometimes being a cop can be very hard work indeed, but there is the occasional perk. Here, a Michigan officer pulls over the car ahead for an illegal turn. But when the officer confronts the young female driver and her friend, it's clear that in this case, the girls just want to have fun.
How you doing, ladies?
We seen you, we want you.
Wait a second, what was that?
We seen you, we want you.
Well, there's no accounting for taste. Maybe the ladies simply prefer a man in uniform, or perhaps there's another explanation for their flirtatious behavior.
We are drunk. Wait,
I can see that.
Not the wisest thing to admit to a traffic cop, but it soon becomes clear that the giggling pair are far from upset about being caught red-handed.
well, you know what, officers? We want you to arrest us and throw us in the back seat. I need you to complete myself. No, dude. Seriously, I can't be complete without a cop. Do you want to throw us in the back of the cop car and arrest us?
Well, not yet.
You're pretty hot.
Well, thank you very much.
I need you. You got a big billy club or whatever they're called?
Thankfully, the cop manages to keep his truncheon where it belongs. But now she's got his attention, one of the girls decides to tell him about her day. A day in which she's narrowly lost top prize in an amateur stripping contest.
Anyways, we're in this contest, and I was supposed to win because everybody in the audience votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the manager took me into the office, and he's like, here's $300, you won, but they don't want you to go on stage because I don't care about the money. I just was supposed to win.
Okay.
After listening patiently, the cop tries to turn the conversation back to more pressing matters.
Okay.
First and second place.
Well, how much have you guys had to drink? That's what I'm worried about right now.
Don't you think I'm supposed to win? Look!
You probably should have won.
I got plenty of soap.
Let's just hear that again.
That's what I'm worried about right now.
Don't you think I'm supposed to win? Look!
You probably should have won.
I got plenty of
Well, at least the cop and his suspects agree on something. The policeman probably deals with armed robbers, murderers, and psychos on a daily basis.
nothing but water.
Okay. Well, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back, okay?
But this could well be the first time he's had a pair of frisky strippers on his hands, so he calls for backup.
Prior to the robbery attempt, he also may have cuts and bruises due to being beaten by the victim with a towel.
The poor bloke doesn't know whether to laugh or cry.
Oh, my. Yeah, they're lively. I'm betting they're both smashed.
And while he waits for help, he's treated to an improvised floor show from the excitable twosome. First, they dangle their bare legs out the window.
Just stay in the car for now.
Then put on a little display of girl-on-girl in-car action. But the best is yet to come. Obviously disappointed with not winning the stripping contest earlier, the girls decide that what they need is some practice, so they get out of the car wearing nothing but their undies.
Ladies, come back to the car.
And frolic Godiva style in the cool night air. Clearly this pair are too much for one cop to handle,
I think they might have to go.
which is why our valiant officer only returns to the fray when his buddy returns to help him out.
Come on, ladies. Come on.
Please don't arrest us.
Come
We're
on.
normal girls.
Come on.
But they'll rape us in jail.
No, they won't. Come here. Come here.
Lydia, we gotta go to jail. Oh my God.
Yeah, you don't have anything on you, so.
I've never been to jail before.
Well, you shouldn't have gone and ran through the sprinklers naked.
He's definitely got a point there. At last, the officer manages to get to the naked truth.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
Just a little. Wait, can we at least get in the car? I'm very, very cold.
And the showgirls are finally shown to the back seat of the cruiser.
Yeah, why don't you come on back here?
Well, it's certainly been an eventful evening for this cop. What started as an illegal turn turned swiftly into something rather more interesting. And when the two amateur strippers got down to the bare necessities,
They jump out of the windows wearing G-string and go play in the sprinklers.
the officers caught an eyeful and the girls caught a nasty chill.
Can we at least get in the car? I'm very, very cold.
Choose your wheels wisely. In our search for the worst getaway vehicle ever, we've seen a lot of strange choices, but it takes a special sort of idiot to actively steal a lumbering lump like this. The school bus is not noted for its ability to outrun anything faster than a small child, let alone a black and white. They're also very large and very yellow, which makes them pretty easy to spot. But perhaps what makes school buses most inappropriate for police chases is the fact that they just don't handle very well. Luckily for everyone, this particular bus was empty of pupils at the time. And luckily for the cops, when it comes to blagging a bus, this thief is definitely bottom of the class.
260 at the corner. On my way.
Learning how to drive properly is only one half of the traffic cop's duties. It's also absolutely vital to learn how to park. Perhaps it's too much to expect a fleeing criminal like this to care much about parking etiquette. This guy clearly opens his door before stopping his vehicle and tries to escape on foot. A cop, on the other hand, really should know better. It's all very well bravely leaping out of your cruiser to tackle your suspect to the ground, but not if it means forgetting to put on the handbrake. Because there's nothing worse than having your heroic arrest botched by your very own car. The crook has legged it and the cop has been hospitalized by his mutinous motor. Even the car's been bushwhacked. All in all, the whole sorry incident has been a crushing defeat for law enforcement. If we've said it once, we've said it a dozen times. Jumping out of a moving car is bad news all round, particularly when you're racing down the highway like a heat-seeking missile with cops up your arse. In fact, the runaway suspect in this car here are a mother and son criminal double act fresh from a family shoplifting spree. The woman suddenly tears across several lines of traffic, and her 16-year-old passenger begins to lose faith in Mummy's reckless road skills. The police are closing in, and her driving just isn't getting any better. So it's about this point in the proceedings that Junior decides he wants out. Mom, meanwhile, plows her car straight into an innocent motorist and takes herself neatly out of the chase. Amazingly, the boy has somehow managed to survive his premature ejection, and he legs it up the side of the embankment in a bid for freedom. He He's dazed, scared, and quite possibly injured from his close encounter with the tarmac. Still, he manages to outrun the officer chasing him, whose pursuit is cut short when he nearly plows headlong into a tree. Moments later, and the cop is back on the case. But he really needs to spend some time brushing up on his off-roading skills, because just when he's about to catch up with his suspect, he finds his pathway blocked once again by, you've guessed it, another sapling. Perhaps he's a graduate of the same driving school as the fugitive's mother. We'll say it one more time. It's extremely stupid to get out of a motor while it's still moving. But if you do make a leap of faith, then it certainly helps if the cop who's following you keeps being outwitted by the shrubbery. Here's why you should never let your 15-year-old daughter steal the keys to your SUV. Because she might not realize that when it says all-terrain transport, it doesn't necessarily mean all-terrain. It's almost certainly not intended for underwater use. A more experienced car thief would probably know that driving into a lake is a very big mistake. As it is, this teenage tearaway manages to put the dampers on her own joyride without much assistance from the cops. Fortunately, thanks to the SUV's rugged frame and family-friendly safety features, the young girl and her 2 male friends won't have to sleep with the fishes tonight. They emerge from the upturned motor physically unharmed. Although when Daddy hears about this, there's bound to be tears before bedtime. So let's review how the cops do things on the other side of the pond. We've seen how they fight fairly, how they treat their elderly, what they do on the long haul, how they drive in the wet, how they greet their guests, what they get up to at night, their take on education, how they run over themselves, their love for nature, and we've seen their day out at the lakes. Be careful out there.